One more reading, Lao Tzu Tao Te Ching. Number 45. Perfectly complete, it seems efficient, yet never wears out. Perfectly full, it seems empty, yet never runs dry. Perfectly straight, it seems crooked. Perfectly clever, it seems clumsy. Perfectly abundant, it seems impoverished. Active, it becomes cold. Still, it becomes hate. Those who know how to be perfectly still are able to govern the world. To treat the complete as complete, the fool as full, the straight, as the clever as clever is mundane. To treat what seems deficient as complete, what seems empty as full, what seems crooked as straight, and what seems clumsy as clever, that is transcendent. This is the meaning of Lao Tzu's entire book. Opposites complement each other. What is the most complete cannot be seen in its entirety, hence it seems deficient. What is fullest cannot be seen in its totality, hence it seems empty. What is straight cannot be seen in its perfection, hence it seems crooked. What's clever cannot be seen in its brilliance, hence it seems clumsy. The word considers what is not deficient as complete, hence it complete includes worn out. It considers what's not empty as full, hence it fools include exhausted. The wise, however, do not mind if what is most complete is deficient or what is fullest is empty. For what is most complete never wears out, and what is fullest never runs dry. Ordinary people employ their spirit in activity, but activity means extravagance. Extravagance means wastefulness. Those who are wise employ their spirit in stillness. Stillness means moderation. Moderation means frugality. We keep warm in winter by moving around, but sooner or later we stop moving and become cold again. We keep cool in summer by sitting still, but sooner or later we stop sitting still and become hot again. This is not the way of long life, this is how what is complete becomes deficient. What is full becomes empty. What is straight becomes crooked, and what is clever becomes clumsy. Those who seek balance should look for it in perfect stillness. Perfect stillness is the essence of the Tao. Those who achieve such balance are free from hot and cold. Activity overcomes cold but cannot overcome heat. Stillness overcomes heat but cannot overcome cold. Perfect stillness and our faultless doesn't try to overcome anything, yet nothing in the world can overcome it. Thus, it's said that perfect stillness can govern the world. Those who run with virtue are like the North Star, which remain in its place while the myriad stars revolve around it. And that's it. In the 1P and 3 editions, line 7 reads, "What is most eloquent since damp?" I have replaced this with the version introduced by Mangwan 3P, with which the commentary of Yen Tsun agrees, and with which the quoting test also seems to agree. Cheng, success, is graphic shorthand for Cheng, abundant. That's it, one more reading. Tao Te Ching, number 47. Without going out your door, you can know the whole world. Without looking out your window, you can know the way of heaven. The farther people go, the less they know. Says therefore, know without traveling, name without seeing, and succeed without trying. Who takes heaven as their ancestor, virtue as the home, the Tao as the door, and who escapes change is a sage. Those who are sages understand the individuals by understanding themselves. They understand our families by understanding their own family. They thus they understand the whole world. Humankind and heaven are linked to each other. If the ruler is content, the breath of heaven will be calm. If the ruler is greedy, heaven's breath will be unstable. Sages do not have to ascend into the sky or descend to the depths to understand heaven or earth. Events have a beginning. Creatures have a leader. Roads diverge, but they lead back together. Thoughts multiply, but they all share one thing. The way one constant. Reason has one principle. Holding on to the ancient way, we are able to master the present. Although we live today, we can understand distant past. We can understand without going outside. If we don't understand, going further only leads us further astray. The reason the sages of the past understood everything without going anywhere was simply because they kept their natures whole. People let themselves be misled by things and allow their natures to be split into ears and eyes, body and mind. Their vision becomes limited to sights, and their hearing becomes limited to sounds. If we wait to see before we become aware and wait to become aware before we know, we can see 10,000 different views and still be blind to the reason that binds them all together. Those who look for heaven and earth outside look for forms, but heaven and earth cannot be fathomed through form, only through reason. Once we realize that reason is right here, it doesn't matter if you close our door. For those who are wise, knowledge is not limited to form. Hence, don't have to go anywhere. Name is not limited to matter. Hence, they don't have to look anywhere. Success is not limited to action. Hence, they don't have to do anything. The name that becomes a name is not the immortal name. Without traveling means to know without depending in previous or external experiences. Without seeing means to know that everything is empty and that there is nothing to see. Without trying means to focus the spirit on tranquility that excels at making things happen. To succeed without trying is the result of the previous two lines. Because those sages know everything without going anywhere and see everything without looking at anything, they succeed at everything without any effort at all. Some commentators wonder if line 8 is not corrupt, if Ming name is not a mistake for Ming understand, and if the line should not then read understand without seeing. Flourish without explain, change without movement, succeed without trying. One more reading, Tao Te Ching. Reading No Gate Getaway, the original Women Queen. Number 36. Meet Sage Master Way. Fifth Patriarch Monta said, You meet the Sage Master of Buddha Way on the road. Meet him not with the words and not with silence. Right now, speak up. Tell me, how do you meet him? You hear before me in the Sangha, if you can see right through the kindred intimacy, cut clean to the intimate essence of such a meeting, nothing can keep you from blessings full of joy. If you're free from doubt, you will cut clean through the intimate essence of ice, where places and things reveal every depth of sight. You meet the sage master of way on the road, meet him not with words, not with silence, bloody his face, break his joy, suddenly you understand it with such deep ease. No great getaway, the original woman Kwan. Number 48, Heaven speaks single path. A monk asked Master Heaven pick mountain. For holy Buddhas everywhere throughout all the distance of time and space, there is a single path entering the gate of Nirvana. But they can find the Buddha way path anywhere. Picking up his staff, Pick traced the line on the floor and said, It's right here. Later on, the monk asked the Cloudgate Mountain, pick up his fan. Master Cloudgate said, This fan leaps out into the 33-peak heaven, to lofty Sumuru Mountain, at the very center of the cosmos, where it laps Lord Sakara Devanan, Indra's nose. And if someone takes a stick and even so much as touches, a carp in the distant sea rains pour down by the bucketful. One of them goes deeper and deeper to wander across sea bottoms, stirring dirt up into scattering dust. The other ascends higher and higher to stand on the mountain summits, whipping waves up, billowing white caps in the sky. One holding fast, one breaking free. They each stretch out a hand to support and continue chants such ancestral teaching, but they exactly like two horsemen crashing into each other. There is no one here in this world who can see straight to the very bottom of things. If you look closely with the eye's perfect clarity, you see even these two great elders don't have a clue where the Buddha way path is. In that moment before you take a first step, you arrived. In that moment before your tongue moves, you've spoken. Things begin in noon of origin beginnings, all abundance, and we know them there. Presence alive in this very mind. No gate getaway, the original woman Kwan. One more reading, Hua Hu Ching, The Unknown Teachings of Lao Tzu. Number 28. It is tempting to view the vast and luminous heavens as the body of Tao. That would make it be a mistake. However, if you identify the Tao with a particular shape, you won't ever see it. Don't think you can attain total awareness and whole enlightenment without proper discipline and practice. This is egomania. Appropriate ritual channels and your emotions and life energy to the light. Without the discipline to practice, then you will tumble constantly backward into darkness. Here's the great secret. Just as high awareness of the subtle truth is gained through virtuous conduct and sustained disciplines, so also it's maintained through these things. Highly evolved beings know and respect the truth of this. Number 30. Words can never convey the beauty of a tree. To understand it, you must see it with your own eyes. Language cannot capture the melody of a song. To understand it, you must hear it with your own ears. So it is with the Tao. The only way to understand it is to directly experience it. The subtle truth of the universe is unsayable and unthinkable. Therefore, the highest teachings are wordless. My own words are not the medicine, but the prescription, not the destination, but a map to help you reach it. When you get there, quiet your mind and close your mouth. Don't analyze the Tao. Strive instead to leave it. Silently, undividedly, with your whole harmonious being. The Tao doesn't come or go, it is always present everywhere. Just like the sky, if your mind is clouded, you won't see it, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. All misery is created by the activity of the mind. Can you let go of words and ideas, attitudes and expectations? If so, then the Tao will loom into view. Can you be still and look inside? If so, then you will see that the truth is always available, always responsive. Number 33. That just as the world can reveal itself as particles, the Tao can reveal itself as human beings. Though world and particles aren't the same, neither are they different. Though the cosmic body of your mind aren't the same, neither are they different. Words and particles, bodies and beings, time and space, all are transient expressions of the Tao, unseeable, ungraspable. The Tao is beyond any attempt to analyze or categorize it. At the same time, it's truth, it's everywhere you turn. If you can let go of it with your mind and surround it with your heart, it will live inside you forever. One more reading, Hua Hu Ting. One more reading, Hua Hu Ting, The Unknown Teachings of Lao Tzu. Each moment is fragile and fleeting. The moment of the past cannot be kept, however beautiful. The moment of the present cannot be held, however enjoyable. The moment of the future cannot be got, however desirable. But the mind is desperate to fix the river in place. Possessed by ideas of the past, preoccupied with images of the future, it overlooks the plain truth of the moment. The one who can dissolve her mind will suddenly discover the Tao at her feet, and clarity at hand. How can the divine ones be seen in beautiful forms, breathtaking wonders, awe-inspiring miracles? The Tao is not obliged to present itself this way. It is always present, always available. When speech is exhausted and mind is solved, it presents itself. When clarity and purity are cultivated, it reveals itself. When sincerity is unconditional, it unveils itself. If you are willing to be lived by it, you will see it everywhere, even in the most ordinary things. The highest truth cannot be put into words, therefore, the greatest teacher has nothing to say. He simply gives himself and serves and never worries. Right? Self-awareness of the truth of the universe should not be regarded as an achievement. To think in terms of achieving it is to place it outside your own nature. It is erroneous and misleading. Your nature and the integral nature of the universe are one and the same, indescribable, but eternally present. Simply open yourself to this. Not all spiritual paths leads to harmonious oneness. Indeed, most are detours and distractions, nothing more. Why not trust the plainness and simplicity of the integral way? Living with unconditional sincerity, eradicating all duality, celebrating the quality of things, you, every moment, will be in truth. Number 27. Do not imagine that an integral being has the ambition of enlightenment. They now we are raising worldly people to divine realm. To her there is no self and order, and hence no one to be raised in, no one heaven, hell, and hence no destination. Therefore, her own concern is her own sincerity. That's it. Just one more reading of the Hua Hu Ching. Hua Hu Ching, the unknown teachings of Lao Tzu. Number 67. To achieve the highest levels of life, one must continually combine new levels of yin and yang. In nature, the male energy can be found in such sources as the sun and the mountains, and the female in such sources as the earth, the moon, and the lakes. Those who study these things, which are only hinted at here, will benefit immeasurably, because higher and higher unions of yin and yang are necessary for the conception of our life. Some students may be instructed in the art of dual cultivation, in which yin and yang are directly integrated in the tai chi of sexual intercourse. The student is not genuinely virtuous, and destruction not that of a true master. Dual cultivation can have a destructive effect. If genuine virtue and true mastery come together, however, the practice can bring about profound balancing of the student's gross and subtle energies. The result of this is improved health, harmonizing emotions, the cessation of desires and impulses, and at the highest level, the transcendent integration of the entire energy body. 68. In the angelic dual cultivation, one learns to follow the Tao, to approach the Tao. You will need all your sincerity for its elusive first revealing itself in foreign image, then dissolving into subtle, indefinable essence. Through its uncreated self, it creates all things. Because it has no substance, it can enter into where there is no space. Exercised by returning to itself, winning victories by remaining gentle, and held, it is softer than anything, therefore it overcomes everything hard. What does this tell you about the benefit of no action and silence? 69. A person's approach to sexuality is a sign of his level of evolution, and evolved persons practice ordinary sexual intercourse. Placing all emphasis upon sexual organs, they neglect the body's other organs and systems. Whatever physical energy accumulated is similarly discharged, and the subtle energy is similarly dissipated and disordered. It's a great backward leap. For those who aspire to the higher realms of living, there is no angelic or dual cultivation, because every portion of the body and mind and spirit yearns for the integration of yin and yang. Angelic intercourse is led by the spirit rather than the sexual organs. When ordinary intercourse is thoughtful, angelic cultivation is calm, relaxed, quiet, and natural. Where ordinary intercourse unites sex organs with sex organs, angelic cultivation unites spirit with spirit, mind with mind, and every cell of one body with every cell of the other body. Culminate not in the solution, but the integration is an opportunity for a man and a woman to mutually transform and uplift each other into the realm of bliss and holiness. The sacred ways of angelic intercourse are taught only by one who has himself achieved total energy integration, and taught only to students who follow the integral way with profound devotion, seeking to purify and pacify the entire world along with their own being. However, if your virtue is especially radiant, it can be possible to open a pathway to the subtle realms and receive these celestial teachings directly from the immortals. Right, that's it. Just one more reading of Hua Hu Ching, the unknown teachings of Lao Tzu. One more reading, Hua Hu Ching, the unknown teachings of Lao Tzu. Number 70. The cause of passion, desire, waving, binding, net around you. Worthy confrontation makes you stiff and flexible. The trap of duality is tenacious, bound, rigid, and trapped. You cannot experience liberation. Through dual cultivation, it's possible to unravel the net, soften rigidity, dismantle the trap, dissolving your yin energy into this source of universal life, attracting yang energy from the same source, you leaving behind individuality, and your life becomes pure nature, free of evil, living naturally, working virtuously. You become filled with inexhaustible vitality and are liberated forever from the cycle of death and rebirth. Understand this is nothing else. Spiritual freedom and oneness with the tower are not randomly bestowed gifts, but the results of conscious self-transformation or self-evolution. The transformation toward eternal life is gradual. The healthy gross energy of body, mind, and spirit must first be purified and uplifted. When the energy ascends to the subtle level, then self-mastery can be sought. A wise instructor teaches the powerful principles of self-integration only to those who have already achieved the higher level of self-purification, self-mastery. In addition, all proper teaching follows the law of energy response. The most effective method is always that to which the student's natural energy most harmoniously responds. For one, celibacy and self-cultivation will be appropriate. For another, properly guided law cultivation will derive the greatest benefit. A discerning teacher will determine the proper balance of practice for each individual. In any case, know that all teachers and techniques are only transitional. True realization comes from the direct merger of one's being with the divine energy of the Tao. If you wish to gain merit and become one with the divine, then develop your virtue and extend it to the world. Abandon fixed ideologies and imaginary ideas and do some ordinary daily work, such as healing. Let go of all conflict, strife, practice unswerving kindness and unending patience. Avoid following impulses and pursuing ambitions which destroy the wholeness of your mind and separate you from the integral way. Neither become obsessed with circumstances nor forego awareness of them. To manage your mind, know that there's nothing and then relinquish all attachment to the nothingness. The teacher cannot aid the students as long as the student's spirit is contaminated. The cleansing of the spiritual contamination is not the responsibility of the teacher, but of the student. It is accomplished by offering one's talent, resource, and life to the world. Also, to the teacher and to the immortal angels that surround him, a healthy student can offer his pure energy, and the depleted student can give you at the very last food or wine or service. When one who gives whatever one can without restraint, the barriers of individuality break down. It no longer becomes possible to tell whether it is the student offering himself to the teacher or the teacher offering himself to the student. One sees only two immaculate beings reflecting one another like a pair of brilliant mirrors. That's it, just one more short reading. Wahoo Ching. The Unknown Teachings. Wahoo Ching, The Unknown Teachings. There are those who derive energy from worshipping and meditating on divine beings and deities. If you feel inclined to worship, then worship these. Worship the fire sun, repository of yang, and the watery moon, repository of yin. Worship the spiritual centers of man and woman, which are angelic in every form. Worship the eight great manifestations, heaven, earth, water, fire, thunder, lake, wind, and mountain. Worship the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, which illuminate the underlying harmony of the universe. Finally, worship the great I Ching, in which all things are contained, balanced, and reposed. Would you like to liberate yourself from the lower realms of life? Would you like to save the world from the degradation and destruction it seems destined for? Then step away from shallow mass movements and quietly go to work on your own self-awareness. If you want to awaken all humanity, then awaken all yourself. If you want to eliminate the suffering in the world, then eliminate all that is dark and negative in ourselves. Truly, the greatest gift you have to give is that of your own self-transformation. So find a teacher who is integral being, a beacon who stands his light and virtue with equal ease to those who appreciate him and those who don't. Shape yourself in his mold, bathe in his northern radiance, and reflect it out to the rest of the world. You will come to understand in eternal truth there is always a peaceful home for a virtuous being. Who can save the world? Perhaps one who devotedly follows these teachings, who calms her mind, who ignores all divergence, who develops a higher awareness of social truths, who marriages a virtue of universal virtue and extends it to the world without expectation of reward. She will indeed be the savior of the world. Humanity grows more and more intelligent, yet there is clearly more trouble and less happiness daily. How can this be so? It is because intelligence is not the same thing as wisdom. When society misuses project intelligence and ignores holistic reason, these people forget the benefits of a plain and natural life. Seduced by their desires, emotions, and egos, they become slaves to the body demands, the luxurious power, and the balance of religion and psychological excuses. Then the reign of calamity and confusion begins. Nonetheless, superior people can awaken during times of turmoil to lead others out of the mire. But how can the one liberate the many? By first liberating his own being. He does this not by liberating himself, but by lowering himself. He lowers himself to that which is simple, modest, true, integrating into himself. He becomes a master of simplicity, modest, truth, completely emancipated from his former false life. He discovers the illusion of pure nature, which is the pure nature of the universe. Freely and spontaneously releases And reason, his divine energy he constantly transcends complicated situations and draws everything around him back into one integral oneness. Because he's a living divinity, when he acts, the universe acts. That's it. One short reading. Wahoo Ching. One more reading. Wahoo Ching, the unknown teachings. Unless the mind, body, and spirit that we will develop fully integrate, no spiritual peak or state of enlightenment can be sustained. This is why extreme religions and dialogues do not bear fruit. When the mind and spirit are forced into unnatural austerities and adherence to external dogmas, the body goes sick and we can become saturated to the whole being. When the body is emphasized to the exclusion of the mind and spirit, they become like trapped snakes, frantic, explosive, and poisonous to one's persons. All such imbalances are inevitably lead to exhaustion and expression to the life source, to the life force. True self-cultivation involves the holistic integration of the mind, body, and spirit, balancing yin and yang through the various practices of the integral way. One achieves complete unity within and without. This manifests in the world as perfect equilibrium and perfect grace. Greed for enlightenment and immortality is no different than greed for material wealth. It is self-centered and dualistic and thus an obstacle to true attainment. Therefore, these states are never achieved by those who covet them, rather than they are the reward of the virtues. If you wish to become a divine immortal angel, then restore the angelic qualities of your being through virtue and service. This is the only way to gain the attention of the immortals who teach the methods of energy enhancement and integration that are necessary to reach the divine realm. These angelic teachers cannot be sought out. It is they who seek out the student. When you succeed in connecting your energy with the divine realm to high awareness and the practice of discriminating virtue, the transmissions of the ultimate self-truth will follow. This is the path that all angels take to the divine realm. Mystical techniques for achieving immortality are revealed unto those who have dissolved all ties of the gross worldly realm and duality, conflict, and dogma. As long as you shallow worldly ambitions exist, the door will not open. Devote yourself to a living and virtuous integrate selfless life. Refine our energy from gross and heavy to subtle and light. Use the practice of the way to transform your superficial worldly personality into profound divine presence. By going through each stage of development along the integral way, you learn to value what's important today in the subtle realm rather than what appears desirable tomorrow. In the worldly realm, the mystical door will open, and you can enjoy the unruling rulers and creating creators of the vast universe. One more. One more reading, No Date Getaway, the original Woman Kwan. Fatal Mountain 3 score. In his student wonder, Fatal Mountain went to study under Cloudgate Mountain. When he arrived, Cloudgate asked, "You've come from where?" Raft Seek Ferry. "And where are you for the summer session?" "With Tender Reward at his monastery south of the lake." "When did you leave there?" "The 25th day of the 80th moon." "I will drive you out of here with my stick, 3 score blows," shouted Cloudgate. The next morning, in spite of all, Fatal Mountain hiked up to the Cloudgate Mountain again, and deep with inquiry asked, "Master, you drove me away yesterday, 3 score blows, but I don't understand what I did wrong." "You great sack of rice," shouted Cloudgate. "One day south of the lake, the next west of the river. Where are you going? Jump around like this always on your way somewhere else?" At that, Fatal Mountain had a great awakening. No Gates comment. To make such a sight nourishing as cattle fodder, to bid Fatal Mountain farewell on the long path of presence, these 10,000 things emerged from the loom of origins. If Cloudgate Mountain had done such things, his school wouldn't have fallen into ruins, isolated and silent. Fatal Mountain spent all night at the sea of yes this and no that logic. Hoping he would arrive at some realization, he waited clear through till dawn, then went back to Cloudgate. This time Cloudgate demolished all explanation, but even if Fatam saw through this with clarity of immediate awakening, he wasn't scorched clean to this his original Buddha nature. So I want to ask all of you who are here in this Sangha, Fatal Mountain's 3 score blows, were they or were they not a blessing? If you say they were a blessing, then all the grasses of trees and vast forests should be blessed with those 3 score blows. If you say they were not a blessing, then Cloud Gates just prime deception and deceit. You here before me in this Sangha, if you can explain this illuminated holy, you will speak with the very cheap breaths of Fatal Mountain himself. When the lion takes a cup, it's pure mystery and confusion. To urge the cup forward, it leaps away, faints, and tumbles over. Meet before absence begins, Cloudgate revealed the essence. The first arrow left barely a scratch, but the second went deep. That's all. Just one more reading. No Great Getaway, the original Woman Kwan. Bell sound, 7 piece. Cloudgate said, this word here sweats boundaries away. So why let the bell sound tell you when to don your 7 piece robe? All you in this vast sangha, listen now and cultivate the way of charm, practice. Never rely on sound or appearance. Even if sound could awaken you to way itself and appearance could enlighten mind, there would be no end to the search, because it's not a matter of understanding at all. The family of monks wearing red robes of sages, they may use sound freely and manage appearance closely. That's how they master enlightenment through and through, how they reveal mastery through and through. But for people like that, who can say if sound enters hearing or hearing enters sound? Abounding sound is silence once they both die away in forgetfulness. How can words explain realization? If you use ears to listen, realization's impossible. But if you use eyes to listen, it's the beginning of a kinder intimacy with things. With realization, you see everything's great family together, and without, you see 10,000 differences and separations. Without realization, you see everything's a great family together, and with, well, you see 10,000 things, differences, and separations. That's all. One more reading. The I Ching, the Book of Changes. Sun, decrease. Be still, lessen the power of the ego, and misfortune will be avoided. It's a fact of life that times of decrease come upon us. Our resources are limited, difficult surround us, and our egos generate angry and unhappy emotions. Nonetheless, such times are good for us. If we respond to them by quieting our egos and turn sincerely to the higher power for help, we emerge from the period of decrease stronger, healthier, and wiser. When we discover that we are unable to achieve our goals, our egos become infuriated. We are tempted to harden into anger and bitterness, to lash out, to desperately and aggressively grab for control over the situation. If we do this, however, we only push out our own salvation further away. The I Ching conceals a withdrawal into stillness now. The image is that of a spring reverting to the inside of a mountain during a time of drought. By returning to its quiet center during the time of decrease, it avoids evaporating and exhausting itself in vain. You would be wise to follow this example. To try to force progress by arguing, manipulating, or making excuses will only bring your own downfall. Instead, disengage from your inferior elements, however passionately they seek expression, and turn to the sage for guidance and assistance. The hexagram sun issues a call to sacrifice negative feelings, accept the powerlessness of the ego against the currents of life, and return to contemplation of the principles of the sage. In stillness and meditations, we enrich the higher parts of ourselves and thus bring an end to the time of decrease. Give aid to others where you can do so with a proper attitude, without seeking recognition and without unbalancing them. Strive to have a gentle and detached influence. To truly help others, you must maintain your own dignity. Everyone is decreased if you indulge in what is inferior. By relinquishing an inferior element, you make room for a superior one. The deity arrives when we disengage our egos and ask for his help. By correcting your bad habits and cultivating innocence, you draw others to you. Good fortune is widespread. Nothing can prevent success from coming to those who follow the good, the true, and the innocent at every turn. Through stillness and innocence, one gains an increase. By generous and benevolent with others and still increase, greater increases will follow. One more reading of the I Ching. When people say that joy and happiness are like a dream, and that beings generate due to the fault of delusion, why would they strive for their own welfare, forsaking the light and the excellent deeds of altruism? When you see that beings have fallen just as you have into the ocean of existence and are stumbling unable to walk in safe direction, because the eye of wisdom, which distinguishes what to adopt and what to discard, for then is closed. It is not better to care for others than to strive for their own welfare. You who are in the conqueror's lineage, the same text says, why wouldn't anyone who is in conqueror's lineage and who works for the welfare of the world have compassion for those stumbling with their eyes of wisdom closed? And joyous persevere so as to clear away such confusion. Here you should use a great person's joy, charisma, and strength to show the responsibility of others' welfare, for focusing only on your own welfare is a trait shared even with the animals. Consequently, the fundamental orientation of a great person is to focus solely on achieving the happiness and benefit of others. Candragoman's letter to student Cicieleca says, domestic animals eat a mouthful of easily found grass, and when tormented by great thirst, they happily drink water they find. Here those who make an effort of working for the welfare of others do so out of charisma, joy, and surpassing strength. The sun's great rays shine everywhere, traveling like a horse-drawn chariot. The ground supports the world without calculating the burden. Such is the nature of persons of great capacity, who lack any self-interest. They are consumed with whatever brings happiness and benefit to the world. One who sees beings tormented by abomination is suffering, and who hastens to act for their welfare is scarlet, a person of great capacity. And an adept, the same text says, those who see beings disturbed by the smoke cloud of ignorance that enshrouds the world helplessly fall into the blazing fire of suffering, and hastily make effort as if their own heads were on fire, and here called great persons and adepts. Therefore, the Mahayana is the origin of all good self and others, the medicine that alleviates all troubles, great path traveled by all knowledgeable persons, nourishment for all beings who see, hear, remember, and come into contact with it, and that which has the great skill in means that engages you in others' welfare and thereby directly achieves your own welfare in its entirety. One who enters it thinks, wonderful, I have found what I'm looking for. Enter the supreme vehicle with all the supreme strength of excellent person that you have. The companion of perfection states, the supreme vehicle is realized by genuine wisdom from its omniscience of the great sage arises. He is like the eye of the world, his radiance like the rays of the rising sun. Thus enter the Mahayana after you have developed a great respect for it and induce it by seeing its good qualities from various perspectives. That's it, one more reading. One more reading, The Great Treatise, Volume 2. When people see that joy and happiness are like a dream, and that beings generate due to the faults of delusion, why would they strive for their own welfare, forsaking the light and the excellent deeds of altruism? When you see that beings have fallen just as you have into the ocean of existence and are stumbling and unable to walk in a safe direction, because the eye of wisdom, which distinguishes what to adopt and what to discard, for then is closed, it is not better to care for others and to strive for their welfare. You who are in the conqueror's lineage, the same text says, why wouldn't anyone who conquers lineage and who works for the welfare of the world have compassion for those who stumbling with the eyes of wisdom closed, and joyously persevere so as to clear away such confusion? Here, you should use a great person's joy, charisma, and strength to shoulder the responsibility of others' welfare. And for focusing only on your own welfare is that a trait shared even with animals. Consequently, the fundamental orientation of a great person is to focus solely on achieving the happiness and benefit of others. Canterbury's letter to student Cecilia Leka says, domestic animals eat a mouthful of easily found grass, and when they're tormented by great thirst, they happily drink water they find. Here, those who make an effort at working for the welfare of others do so out of charisma, joy, and surpassing strength. The sun's great rays shine everywhere, traveling like a horse-drawn chariot. The ground supports the world without calculating the burden. Such is the nature of persons of great capacity who lack any self-interest. They are consumed with whatever brings happiness and benefit to the world. One who sees beings tormented by above-mentioned suffering and hastens to act for their welfare is called a person of great capacity, and an adept, the same text says. Those who see beings disturbed by the smoke cloud of ignorance that enshrouds the world helplessly fall into the blazing fire of suffering, and hastily make effort as if their own heads were on fire, and here called great persons and adepts. Therefore, the Mahayana is the origin of all good, self and others, the medicine that alleviates all troubles, great path traveled by all knowledgeable persons, nourishment for all beings who see, hear, remember, and come into contact with it. All that which has the great skill in means that engages you in the other's welfare, and thereby indirectly achieves your own welfare its entirety. One who enters it thinks, wonderful, I have found what I'm looking for. Enter his supreme vehicle with all the strength of an excellent person that you have. The companion of perfection states, the supreme vehicle is realized by genuine wisdom. From it is the omniscience of the great sage arises. He is like the eye of the world, his radiance like the rays of rising sun. Thus enter the Mahayana after you have developed great respect for it, induced by seeing its good qualities from various perspectives. That's it, one more reading. The I Ching, or the Book of Changes, She-Ho, abiding through, there is an obstacle to the expression of truth. Withdrawal into quietness allows the sage to moderate. Unity has been broken by one who is not being true to proper principle. This may be another an element in one's own personality or both. In any case, serious misfortune may result if the appropriate response is not made. The I Ching is very clear about what our proper action is when confronted with an obstacle of this nature, withdrawal into completion and turning over of the matter of higher power for resolution. This is a time when aggressive action or intervention can only compound this misfortune. Use your strength to clearly separate yourself from incorrectness and realign yourself with the sage. It's always our responsibility to acknowledge where something has gone wrong, but never outright to punish. The demonstration of justice is the sole process of the deity. The I Ching teaches us to forgive but not forget. This does not mean one who reveals himself as inferior today should be regarded as such tomorrow. It means that we are wise to pay conscientious attention to the waxing and waning of the truth in ourselves and others. When truth predominates, we can progress. When it's eclipsed, we are obliged to withdraw and surrender to the method of the sage. It's wise to learn from the first mistake. Repeating or persisting in it will compound the severity of the misfortune that follows it. The departure from truth is quite clear here. This may arouse anger and indignation. It is better to remain humble and balanced while the correction is carried out. Thus is an old and sticky issue. An attempt to punish will arise hatred and resistance. In the end, there is less trouble if one withdraws. A correction is underway. Neither harshness nor carelessness is in order. Instead, persevering in a moderate and balanced fashion, the difficulties will be surmounted. If you do so, there is no temptation to be lenient. It may be too early to rejoin order or take action. Remain gentle and watchful while the creative corrects the situation. An obstinate attitude results in embarrassment and severe punishment. A return to humility and proper principles is the only means to escape in this. The I Ching Book of Changes. She biting through. Let's try one more reading right now. The I Ching, the Book of Changes. Cool. Work on what has been spoiled. A challenge to improvement. That which has been spoiled through neglect can be rejuvenated by effort. Receive this as a sign that there is a defect in the attitude of oneself and others from society that should be corrected. Your task now is to bring conscientious thought and action to an area where stagnation has set in. Perhaps you engage in continual doubt about the reason of behaving according to proper principles. Perhaps you indulge in greed or vengeful thinking or a harsh manner. In any case, the time has come to root out the decay. The I Ching counsels us to work energetically at this task, but only after proper deliberation. We are advised to spend 3 full days in understanding the defect, another day in resolving necessity to remove it, and then 3 more days watching carefully to ensure that it does not return. This steady application of attention to the matter is the wind that carries away stagnation and brings the new life in its place. It is likely that the phenomenon is an old one. Equally likely that no solution will be immediately evident. We are cautioned not to abandon the cause, only perseverance will reveal the great reward that is concealed within the problem. Whether the fault lies in ourselves, another, or our community, the requirement is the same. Watch closely while remaining quiet, innocent, and sincere. After you have clearly identified the problem, act unswervingly to eliminate it without abandoning it. The gentleness and inner balance in the process. When this curse is completed, good fortune will be at meet. The decay stems from adherence to a family tradition. Only by releasing this spoiled way of acting and thinking can you make room for superior influence that go freely. Underlying fear keeps you from seeing the truth. Be gentle but persistent with yourself in locating and releasing it. To proceed too vigorously in righting mistakes is to invite discord. However, no serious harm results as long as the imbalance is not excessive. More effort is better than less at this time. Tolerating what is wrong leads to ruin. Decay must be met with clarity and firmness if we are to progress. An obligation to hide or accept a continued wrong may be felt. No such obligation exists. Your duty is always to uphold proper principles, to choose otherwise is to invite misfortune. A withdrawal from the affairs of the world is appropriate if you use this time not to condemn, but to further your own development. By improving yourself, you improve the world. That's it, just one more reading. The I Ching. The I Ching, or Book of Changes. Lean, approach. Good approach is to superior person. The hexagram lean signals the approach of powerful beneficial influences. Just as the winter solstice heralds the return of spring, the appearance of this hexagram marks a similar movement toward light and growth. Progress and success are assured to those who persevere on the path of truth. To maximize the opportunity implicit in this moment, it is important to cultivate a proper attitude. It's easy during good times to relax our inner discipline and fall back into incorrect thoughts and actions. Allowing one's ego to take over in a moment of success is sure of ending the problem that has begun. The growth that is at hand was made possible by conscientious behavior and continue carefully along the path in our only means of coming into full possession of it. A steadfast modesty and acceptance, whether external conditions are good or bad, is the mark of a superior person. In yourself maintain balance, equanimity, and humility in times of accomplishment. With others, remain patient, tolerance, and gentle. Clinging to those principles assure you of a time of joy and prosperity. Be the beginning of good times with the correct attitude, do not depart from equanimity into ambition and desire. Alliance with the sage ensures progress in good times and bad. Accept external conditions and maintain inner discipline. There is a danger of relapsing into pure impurity. Into impurity and responsibility, an influential person must take care to uphold the proper principles or misfortune occurs. Remaining up to open the abilities of others, whether their position ensures a greater success. Help from others and from the sage is attracted by modesty and correctness. One who acts alone out of his ego cannot achieve lasting success. A great-hearted person achieves great progress. Guide others by allowing the sage to guide you. That's it. One more reading in the I Ching. Just one more reading in the Way of Chan, essential texts. Typical of Chan teachers, Bodhidharma used some Buddhist terminology in his attempt to engage people trained in conventional Buddhism. Rather than advocating conventional Buddhism, he in fact consistently dismantles it. Chan, here at his official beginning as roughly anti-Buddhist. This begins in the legendary encounter with the Emperor, when he dismisses conventional Buddhist practice and knowledge, and it continues in Bodhidharma's teachings where he replaces the distant God Buddha with mind or original nature as the objective of Chan cultivation. Further, he condemns traditional practices, the six paramitas, for example, in social learning, describes the purpose of practices as entering way, redefines karma in Taoist terms as way and furthering one fact following inevitably after another, effectively replaces Almahaya in a great vehicle. Teaching with his own wild and anti-Buddhist teachings when he titles his essay Outline of the Great Vehicle for Entering Way, and it hardly stops with these examples. Bodhidharma's awakened Dharma is perhaps nowhere so clear as in the small poem we encounter in the general introduction, a separate transmission outside all teaching and nowhere found in the Eloquent scriptures. It's simply pointing directly at mind. There seeing original nature, you become Buddha. This is the archetypal distillation of Chan's essential elements, each line expressing one of its key ideas. Here, Bodhidharma establishes the terms of Chan's awakening when he calls it seeing original nature, when original nature is synonymous with mind or empty, consciousness emptied in all of content. This phrase was codified as a single term, Chien Sing, Kensho, that became one of the two primary terms meaning enlightenment or awakening in the Chan lexicon. This is Bodhidharma's core teaching of radical self-sufficiency and wonder that awakening is simply seeing the true nature of your own mind, that you are already an enlightened Buddha and have no need to search elsewhere for enlightenment or Buddhahood. Or in more contemporary terms, that is the original nature as empty mind, is yourself stunning locale in the topography of the cosmos, a place where the cosmos is miraculously open to itself, aware of itself, radically exhilarating. Bodhidharma's great innovation may be that he completed the reconfiguration of what was primarily a philosophical system, Taoism, into a system of spiritual practice, Chan. And he established the historical structure through which practice and awakening could be transmitted through timeless tradition. Xie Ling Moon declared that insight and awakening have nothing to do with words and teachings. Bodhidharma extended this central Chan principle, fashioning it in a tradition without an essence tradition. He declared Chan is transmitted directly mind to mind and outside of all teaching and texts. He represents the first teacher operating in that tradition. In legend, we receive a transmission through the line of Indian patriarchs, stretching back to the first transmission where Buddha held up a flower and Mahakasyapa smiled. Through the facts remain shadowy, it's clear and more accurate to say that direct transmission began with Bodhidharma's mind to mind transmission to progeny prospect. We call the second patriarch. It is retold 700 years later as a Sangha case one in the great No Gate Getaway collection. Bodhidharma sat facing a wall. The second patriarch stood outside in the snow. To prove his determined sincerity, he cut off his arm and presented it to Bodhidharma, then said, "Your disciple's mind is not yet silent. Please, Master, silence this mind." "Bring your mind here," replied Bodhidharma, "and I will silence it for you. I've searched and searched, but I can't find my mind. There you see, I've silenced your mind too and true." The Way of Chan, one more reading. Just one more reading, The Way of Chan, essential texts. Typical of Chan teachers, Bodhidharma used some Buddhist terminology in his attempt to engage people trained in conventional Buddhism. Rather than advocating conventional Buddhism, he in fact consistently dismantles it. Chan, here at his official beginning as roughly anti-Buddhist. This begins in the legendary encounter with the Emperor, when he dismisses conventional Buddhist practice and knowledge, and it continues in Bodhidharma's teachings where he replaces the distant demigod Buddha with mind or original nature as the objective of Chan cultivation. Further, he condemns traditional practices, the six principles, for example, in social learning, describes the purpose of practices as entering way, redefines karma in Taoist terms as way unfurling one fact following inevitably after another, effectively replaces all Mahayana great vehicle, teaching with his own wild and anti-Buddhist teachings when he titles his essay Outline of the Great Vehicle for Entering Way, and it hardly stops with these examples. Bodhidharma's awakened Dharma is perhaps nowhere so clear as in the small poem we encounter in the general introduction, a separate transmission outside all teaching and nowhere found in the Locanth scriptures. It's simply pointing directly at mind. There seeing original nature, you became Buddha. This is the archetypal distillation of Chan's essential elements, each line expressing one of its key ideas. Here, Bodhidharma establishes the terms of Chan's awakening when he calls it seeing original nature, when original nature is synonymous with mind or empty, consciousness emptied out of content. This phrase was codified as a single term, Chien Tsing, Kensho, that became one of the two primary terms meaning enlightenment or awakening in the Chan lexicon. This is Bodhidharma's core teaching of radical self-sufficiency and wonder that awakening is simply seeing the true nature of your own mind, that you're always already an enlightened Buddha and have no need to search elsewhere for enlightenment or Buddhahood. Or in more contemporary terms, that is original nature as empty mind is a self-stunning locale in the topography of the cosmos, a place where the cosmos is miraculously open to itself, aware of itself, radically exhilarating. Bodhidharma's great innovation may be that he completed the reconfiguration of what was primarily a philosophical system, Taoism, into a system of spiritual practice, Chan. And he established the historical structure through which practice and awakening could be transmitted through timeless tradition. Xie Ling Mun declared that insight and awakening have nothing to do with words and teachings. Bodhidharma extended this central Chan principle, fashioning it in a tradition without, in a sense, tradition. He declared Chan is transmitted directly mind to mind and outside about teaching in texts. He represents the first teacher operating in that tradition. In legend, we receive a transmission through the line of Indian patriarchs stretching back to the first transmission where Buddha held up a flower and Mahakasyapa smiled. Through the facts remain shadowy, it's clear and more accurate to say that direct transmission began with Bodhidharma's mind-to-mind transmission to Prajna prospect. We call the second patriarch, it is retold 700 years later as a Sangha case one in the Great No Gate Getaway collection. Bodhidharma sat facing a wall. The second patriarch stood outside in the snow. To prove his determined sincerity, he cut off his arm and presented it to Bodhidharma, then said, "Your disciple's mind is not yet silent. Please, Master, silence this mind." "Bring your mind here," replied Bodhidharma, "and then we'll silence it for you. I've searched and searched, but I can't find my mind. There you see, I've silenced your mind through and through." The Way of Chan, one more reading. The I Ching, or Book of Changes. Ling, approach. Good approach is to superior person. The hexagram link signals the approach of powerful beneficial influences. Just as the winter solstice heralds the return of spring, the appearance of this hexagram marks a similar movement toward light and growth. Progress and success are assured to those who persevere on the path of truth. To maximize the opportunity implicit in this moment, it is important to cultivate a proper attitude. It's easy during good times to relax our inner discipline and fall back into incorrect thoughts and actions. Allowing one's ego to take over in a moment of success is sure of ending the problem that has begun. The growth that is at hand was made possible by conscientious behavior and continue carefully along the path in our only means of coming into full possession of it. A steadfast modesty and acceptance, whether external conditions are good or bad, is the mark of a superior person. In yourself maintain balance, equanimity, and humility in times of accomplishment. With others, remain patience, tolerance, and gentle. Clinging to those principles assure you of a time of joy and prosperity. With the beginning of good times, with correct attitude, do not depart from equanimity into ambition and desire. Alliance with the sage assures progress in good times and bad. Accept external conditions and maintain inner discipline. There is a danger of relapsing into impurity and responsibility. An influential person must take care to uphold proper principles or misfortune occurs. Remaining up to open the abilities of others, whether their position shows the greatest success. Help from others and from the sage is attracted by modesty and correctness. One who acts alone out of his ego cannot achieve lasting success. A great-hearted person achieves great progress. Guide others by allowing the sage to guide you. That's it. One more reading. The I Ching. try one more reading right now. The I Ching, the Book of Changes. Cool. Work on what has been spoiled. A challenge to improvement. That which has been spoiled to neglect can be rejuvenated and forth. Receiving this hexagram is a sign that there is a defect in the attitude of oneself and others from society that should be corrected. Your task now is to bring conscientious thought and action to an area where stagnation has set in. Perhaps you engage in continual doubt about the reason of behaving according to proper principles. Perhaps you indulge in greed or vengeful thinking or a harsh manner. In any case, the time has come to root out the decay. The I Ching counsels us to work energetically at this task, but only after proper deliberation. We are advised to spend 3 full days in understanding the defect, another day in resolving necessity to remove it, and then 3 more days watching carefully to ensure that it does not return. This steady application of attention to the matter is the wind that carries away stagnation and brings new life in its place. It is likely that the phenomenon is an old one. Equally likely that no solution will be immediately evident. We are cautioned not to abandon the chaos, only perseverance will reveal the great reward that is concealed within the problem. Whether the fault lies in ourselves, another, or our community, the requirement is the same. Watch closely while remaining quiet, innocent, and sincere. After you have clearly identified the problem, act unswervingly to eliminate it without abandoning it. The gentleness and inner balance in the process. When this curse is completed, good fortune be it met. The decay stems from adherence to a family tradition. Only by releasing this spoiled way of acting and thinking can you make room for superior influence. Let go freely. Underlying fear keeps you from seeing the truth. Be gentle but persistent with yourself and locating and releasing it. The procedure vigorously in righting mistakes is to invite discord. However, no serious harm results as long as the imbalance is not excessive. More effort is better than less at this time. Tolerating what is wrong leads to ruin. The decay must be met with clarity and firmness if we are to progress. An obligation to hide or accept a continued wrong may be felt. No such obligation exists. Your duty is always to uphold proper principles, to choose otherwise is to invite misfortune. A withdrawal from the affairs of the world is appropriate if you use this time not to condemn, but to further your own development. By improving yourself, you improve the world. That's it, just one more reading. The I Ching. Just one more reading, the I Ching, a book of changes. You. Enthusiasm. Proper enthusiasm opens every door. The I Ching teaches that there are 2 kinds of enthusiasm, one that leads to misfortune and one that leads to success. This hexagram comes as a sign that you can proceed with confidence now if your enthusiasm is properly founded. And proper enthusiasm is fueled by desires of the ego. People often desire recognition, wealth, power, freedom from difficulty. Such desires can become so great that we will do anything to achieve them. Our energy rises as a widely pursue our goal, but this unruly and egoistical enthusiasm inevitably lead us into incorrect and imbalanced behavior and into misfortune. Proper enthusiasm, on the other hand, is fueled by a devotion to attain and express inner balance and inner truth. When your aim is not to influence others or to satisfy your ego, but to follow the guidance of the higher power, and now that you do, you acquire another kind of energy, a balanced and bottomless eagerness for living in step with what is right and good. There is true power and true grace? This hexagram reminds you that striving out of your ego now you only push you further away from your goals. Seek instead to follow proper principles. Keep to what is innocent, correct, and kind, and the creative will come to your aid. The path of truth is always a path of least resistance. Arrogance leads to a fall. United higher power and remain modest and innocent. Recognize that beginnings and improper action. The superior person corrects herself while it is easy still to do so. Don't rely on others to direct your conduct. Be determined by holding to the good at every turn. Devotion to what is right attracts the eyes and fellowship of others. The greatest success comes to the one who is most sincere. Your ego prevents the desired movement. Take time now to correct your inner attitude. If your notions lead you toward misfortune, self-correction can still make possible a success. That's it, the I Ching. One more reading, the I Ching Book of Changes. Die you. Possession in great measure. Those who are steadfastly balanced, humble, and in harmony with the sage inherit everything under the sun. This is a time of great power and clarity for you. By conscientiously following the path of proper principles, you have come into partnership with higher power and enjoy the influence of the creative everywhere in life. If you remain modest and balanced now, you will come into possession of prosperity and success. The I Ching indicates here that you increase your personal power by purifying your thoughts, actions, and attitudes. When you have done this long enough so that the service of the true and good becomes your only goal in life, you come into complete harmony with the universe. As a result, you begin to have a far reaching influence shining on others as the sun shines on everything under the heavens. Because your power is so great, it's especially important to maintain correct attitudes and behavior now. Having attained a higher position, you are wise to remain modest and generous towards others. Remember that it is the higher power who gives you your strength. Do not make the mistake of becoming proud, disdainful of others, or convinced of your ability to control events. By leaving the sage in charge, withdrawing from all inferior influences, and promoting the good wherever is possible, you remain gracefully balanced and in harmony with the universe. Your peace of mind becomes permanent, and in this way you come into possession of success and prosperity. In the early days, your peace of mind will be challenged by maintaining humility, detachment, and alertness to the approach of evil. Ensure that your greatest possession endures. The most valuable possessions are equanimity, modesty, and inner independence. With this, you can travel anywhere and meet with good fortune. This is a time when the superior person lets go of what is incorrect in himself and gives to others what is good in himself. Only a petty person is selfish with his possessions. Do not indulge in looking at those around you and trying to match them tit for tat. You will elevate yourself by disengaging and holding firmly to what is quiet and correct and good. Do not chase others to try and influence them. Your knowledge of truth should be shared modestly and sincerely with those who are naturally drawn to it. By conscientiously honoring the sage, you remain modest and good. The fullest blessings of all the universe fall on those who are devoted in this way. That is just one more reading of the I Ching, Book of Changes. One more reading the I Ching or Book of Changes. P. Holding together union. Seek union with others and with the sage. Holding together denotes a time for creating union with others in order to complement and assist one another. Just as the rain complements and assists the earth, which is an image often associated with this hexagon, in order for your unions to bear the greatest possible fruit, certain requirements must be met. The first requirement for holding together with others is that we hold together with our own inner truth. This means that we adhere to proper principles as a matter of habit, striving always to remain innocent, balanced, and correct. In short, marry the sage first and faithfully, and good fortune will come to all subsequent marriages. The second requirement for holding together with others is that we steadfastly resist the clamoring of the emotional inferiors within. Every union meets with challenges, and if we are not resolute against the effect of fear, doubt, despair, and anger, no less success will be possible in any relationship. This is a good time to ask yourself if you are displaying the steadfast correctness and strength of character that we are the heart of all great unions, that are the heart of all great unions. Finally, it's the responsibility of one who would unite to see that it is possible for others to enjoy union as well. The desire for community is deeply felt by all humans, and it's the shared responsibility of all those on her path to make some sort of family available to those in need. In doing this, we pay homage to the sage. A genuine commitment to truth is the fundamental building block of all relationships. While this is not present, there can be no union. Do not throw yourself away by worshipping inferiors. Maintaining proper principles maintain one's dignity. Do not throw yourself away by worshipping inferiors. Maintaining proper principles maintains one's dignity. There is a danger of uniting with the wrong elements. Correct your attitude and review your alliances. Without independence and integrity, you meet with misfortune. Proper relationships flow from proper principles. Do not cling to others, but to your own neutrality, humility, and steady devotion to truth. Allow others to come and go as they must. Proceed firmly but with caution. Only by paying careful attention to each step does one arrive unharmed. This means acting in every particular as if you were the sage himself. That's it. One more reading the I Ching. One more reading the I Ching, the Book of Changes. Number 7. She, the army. In times of war, it is desirable to be led by cautious human in general. The hexagon she is a guide to proper conduct in the face of adversity. It is inevitable that we sometimes face trials and challenges in life. How we prepare ourselves by whom we are led, and how we conduct ourselves during these wars determines whether we are victorious or not. The I Ching counsels us to follow the example of a first-rate army. A truly powerful army always consists of a number of devoted soldiers who discipline themselves under the leadership of a superior general. If he has achieved his position through force, a general will not last for long, and he will lose the support of his army when he needs it most. If, on the other hand, he has become a leader through superior conduct and even handed treatment of his fellow soldiers, then his power is well consolidated and it endures. So it is with us. Only by conducting ourselves humanly and with persevering balance can we have a genuine influence in trying times. There is always a temptation to be led into battle by our egos, but we are guaranteed a humiliating defeat if we turn our inferiors loose in this way. A superior person achieves victory in the same fashion as a superior army by putting his inferior emotions under the guidance of his superior emotions and by proceeding cautiously, modestly, and with the continual goal of achieving peace and detachment. You are advised to prepare for a trial now. Your chances of success will be determined by how you conduct yourself within and without. If you remain alert, modest, just, and independent, all will go well. If you're gentle and humane, you will have the allegiance of those around you. Advance cautiously when the time is right and when it is not. Do not allow your ego to stand in the way of retreat and disengagement. Remember that the ultimate victory in any battle comes when we regain our inner independence and our neutrality, our equanimity. This can only be won by placing our fears under the leadership of our superiors. Do this now, and success will be yours. Be certain that your cause is truly and just. If so, next be certain that your conduct is modest, generous, and balanced. Otherwise, your ego leads you into disaster. It is the task of the superior self to reassure the inferior self. Follow the sage at every stop, remind yourself regularly of the wisdom of this path. Inferior influence have taken control of the situation. Unless the ego is disciplined, there is defeat and humiliation in store. Patience and disengagement are called for now. When inferiors are at work in us or others, it is wise to disengage or retreat. No victory can be won until detachment and equanimity are restored. Ego has come back into the open. To correct it, withdraw into stillness and contemplate proper principles. Lashing out will only compound the misfortune. If victory is soft and modestly, there will be humiliation. Lasting progress is won slowly and steadily through the exercise of proper principles. That's it, one more reading. The I Ching, Book of Changes. One more reading of the I Ching, the Book of Changes. Shu, waiting, nourishment. To wait with a proper attitude invites the assistance of the higher power. There is a situation at hand that cannot be corrected by force or stern effort. The creative will provide a solution to one who waits with correct attitude. This is a time for patience and careful attention to inner truth. Do not give in to doubt and agitation now. You are not meant to wait in a state of desperate longing, but in one of patient inner strength. Without certainty in the power of truth, success is impossible. Attempts to force a change rather than allowing it to mature naturally will only cause misfortune. You would be wise to strengthen and reaffirm your reliance on the creative. When you indulge in fear and doubt, you flood the arena where the higher power is attempting to work. Your principal responsibility in life is to keep this arena, your own consciousness, free of negative influences. By accepting things as they are and not making fruitless comparisons to the situations of others or some imaginated ideal, one engages the power of the creative. If one then remains balanced, modest, and independent, good fortune will come to hand. A challenge lies ahead. Ready yourself by deepening the stillness within, anxious anticipation on the weakness or abilities. Danger draws closer. Do not be pulled off balance or act rashly. Cultivate humility, correctness, and stillness. There is a danger of being swayed from a correct attitude. To allow this invites misfortune. Return to the strength of proper principles. Great danger, hardness toward others, or the sage spills one's own blood. Return to humility. A moment of peace in the midst of difficult. Make use of occasions for rest while preparing within for further challenges. A solution appears that at first glance seems strange. Waiting with an open mind and a quiet heart allows you to accept truth in whatever forms it arises. One more reading the I Ching, the Book of Changes. Zen, beautiful Zen stories. One more reading. Page 22. The ordinary mind is Tao. To be absolutely ordinary, to live an ordinary life, eating when feeling hungry, drinking when feeling thirsty, sleeping when feeling sleepy, young when you're young, old when you're old, and dead when you're dead. And don't try to force unlocking even while you're dead. Don't try to live a posthumous existence. Don't try to be a ghost. I have heard one ghost saying to another ghost that whatsoever you say, but that don't believe in people. Even ghosts don't believe in you, but you believe in ghosts. Even ghosts are not so foolish to believe in you, but your stupidity knows no limits.
Zen can attract only very intelligent people. Any fool can be attracted by the idea of physical immortality or cities like. Now Maharishi Mahesh Yogi has found the city of flying. Now what you will do by flying? You will look simply stupid. Just think of yourself flying in this Buddha hall. And if your pajamas look down, so hold in your pajamas and try to fly. And everybody will be pulling on it. What is the point of it all? Even if you can fly, where are you going to land? But all kinds of nonsense continue in the name of religion. To be more nonsensical, the more impossible it looks, the more it attracts the wrong people. Simple truths don't attract the wrong people. What I am doing here is very simple, very ordinary, nothing spiritual in it, nothing sacred. I'm not trying to make you holy persons. I'm simply trying to make you sane, intelligent, ordinary people who can live their lives joyously, dancingly, celebrating, and this is Tao. Chow Chow then asked it, how can one approach it? That's the logical mind. Always asks how. If you say it's the ordinary mind, it's still the logical person who asks how one can approach it. The logical mind goes on missing the point. If it's the ordinary mind, then there is no question of approaching it. It is already there. You have it, it's already the case, but your mind goes on and again in roundabout ways to the same point. You have always asked how to achieve it. If somebody was saying that you can achieve cities, powers, you immediately ask how. Now, Nanchuan is not saying about anything special. He's saying the ordinary mind, which is you already have. There is no question of how and there is no question of approaching it. You have never lost it. You have simply forgotten about it. It has become covered. You have only to uncover it. Nanchuan replied, if you want to approach it, you will certainly miss it. If you want to approach it, that is a sure sign that you are going to miss it because we approach things which are far away. We approach things which are not available. We approach things which are objects in the outside world. The ordinary mind is your subjectivity. You cannot approach it. Who is going to approach it? You are it. There is no separation between you and the ordinary mind. You are creating now a new illusion of separation. Is the question. How to approach it? Now you have divided the subject, the one who will approach, and the object, the one which has to be approached. Of course, then the question arises, what means to have to be employed? And the whole thing is meaningless. No means has to be employed, no methods are needed. A simple understand that you are born with it is enough. But the logical mind persists. The disciples goes on asking, if you do not approach it, how do you know it is the Tao? We have to approach it, study, understand, and find it, then only we can know that is the Tao. Then Chun say, the Tao is not a matter of knowing, it is the knower. Hence, it cannot be a matter of knowing. The knower cannot be known. You cannot reduce it into a known. It cannot be reduced into an object. It is always the knower, the witness, it never becomes the known. It's not a matter of knowing nor a matter of not knowing. But don't misunderstand me. Nanchuan is trying to say because the logical mind immediately jumps to the opposite. If it's not a matter of knowing, then it must be a matter of not knowing. He makes you aware from the very beginning it is neither a matter of knowing nor a matter of not knowing, because that which is a matter of not knowing can be made a matter of knowing. That which is unknown today can be made known tomorrow. Many things were unknown before, now they are known. Many things are unknown today, will be known one day. Science believes in two categories, the known and the unknown. The unknown is being transformed into the known every day. The ultimate idea of science is the one day will come when there will be no more unknown left. All unknown would have become known. That is the goal of science. Religion begins with the third category, the unknowable. It is neither a matter of knowing nor a matter of not knowing. You are not ignorant of it and you are not knowledgeable about it. It transcends both. It stands behind both. It stands behind all the visions of dualities. To know it is in a delusory way of thinking. If somebody says, I have known Tao, I have known truth, I have known God, I have known Dharma, knows perfectly well that he has been living in an illusion because it is the knower and can never become the known. To know is a delusory way of thinking and do not know is a matter of insensibility. Those who think we don't know are simply insensible, and those who think we know are only egoistic. You have to drop both. You have to drop your egoistic ideas of knowing and you have to drop your insensibilities. You have to become more sensitive and more egoless. And then happens a transcendence. Then life becomes way simple and complicated, but tremendous and mysterious. If one can realize the Tao unmistakably, remember Nanchuan says, if one can realize, it is not a question of knowing or not knowing, but a question of realizing I am it. It's a recognition if one can recognize. If one can realize the Tao unmistakably, you have the suspicion if there is some wavering, if you are still doubtful whether this is so or not, that simply means you are still in the world of duality. When one transcends the dual, there is no doubt left. Doubt is the shadow of duality, so when one recognizes one's nature as indubitable, it's unmistakably so. There is no question that whether is right or wrong, it is self-evident. If one can realize that unmistakably, his mind will be like the great space. Like sky, unbounded, open to all sides, infinite, it will be vast, immeasurably, it will be void, it will be absolutely empty of all content, it will be just a mere reflecting off in just a silent lake. Absolutely silent and clear. Is that clarity is Buddhahood, and that clarity is awakening. That clarity is awakening. That's it. Zen beautiful stories. Book and description. One more reading. Zen beautiful stories. Page 30. The angel is thought to be a divine messenger. Man does not exist in a vacuum. Man does not exist like an island. He is in constant communion with God or with the whole or with Tao. He may be aware of it, he may not be aware of it. That will make a lot of difference, but the fact remains true. Whether you are aware or not aware of it, the man is in constant communion with existence. That is the first thing the myth of angels represents, that man and existence are deeply in communion. The angels are thought to be messages of God bringing messages to human beings. They are running between heaven and earth constantly. If you drop the idea of the angels and just look around you, you find 1,001 things continually running between the earth, the earthly plane, and then heaven, the divine plane. As one becomes more alert, one finds more and more connections. We exist in a cosmic net and we are part of it. In the East, it is said that the universe is like a spider's web. If you touch a single thread of the spider's web, the whole web will feel the vibration touch a single blade of grass, and you have touched the greatest star, the farthest away star, because the whole is an organic unity. Nothing is unrelated. It is only human ignorance that has created the idea of the ego. And man lives in a kind of self exile. It is self imposed exile. We have made a small capsule around ourselves. We have become encapsulated, alienated, and then we suffer. Then we are miserable. Then we can find anything, any meaning in life, any significance in life. Then we feel uprooted, ungrounded. Then we feel accidental, as if we are not needed at all. As if existence would go on running the same way whether we are or we are not. That gives us a deep wound. We lose confidence, trust in ourselves. We become something futile, unneeded, useless, just by accident we have come into existence. And this whole nonsense arises because we have created the idea of the ego. The ego is an effort to disconnect yourself from the whole. Although you cannot disconnect yourself from the whole, but you can live in a belief that you have succeeded. Your belief is the cause of your hell. Drop the belief of the ego and suddenly you see messages running between you and the whole continuously. Every moment, day in, day out. Then the birds singing bring messages. Then flowers opening bring messages. Then the stars twinkling in the night bring messages. Then the whole existence becomes an open real book, the real Bible. Then you need not to go into all the rotten scriptures. You can simply look around and start reading existence. And then there are sermons everywhere, scriptures everywhere, songs everywhere. This is the first thing that's represented by beautiful myth of the angels. You must have seen pictures of the angels. They all look like small children. Not even they are young. They look childlike. Their faces have the same innocence, the same purity, the same unpoisoned state. Their eyes, their cheeks, their whole personality is that of a child. As if a child has been magnified, as if you're looking a child through a magnifying glass. All the Buddhas have said, unless you attain your childhood again, you will not know that the truth is. But they are not childish. Remember, childlike, of course, but not childish. To be childish is to be retarded. To be childlike is to be innocent. To be childlike is healthy. To be childish is very unhealthy. Our society does not allow us to remain childlike. It forces us to become so-called grown-ups, which are not like really grown-ups. Physically, they are grown-ups, but not physiologically, psychologically. They are very childish. The average of psychological age is only 30 years. The person may be 9 years old, but his average psychological age remains stuck somewhere at age 13. This is something very strange. Man should grow as whole, his psychology, his physiology, his soul, all should grow in a kind of harmonious dance. Then only he remains whole, then only there is health, then only there is sanity. Even if even one part of us, of you, is lagging far behind, then your whole will remain undeveloped because you cannot grow in parts that is impossible. It happened in a court. A chief was caught, and just before the magistrate was going to punish him, declared his punishment. The chief said, "Sir, I would like to say one thing before I declare judgment. That is, I am not responsible, and you cannot punish because somebody for somebody else's fault." The magistrate said, "What do you mean? Have you not stolen these things? They are eyewitnesses." He said, "Yes, they are also right. My hands have done the wrong, but I have not done it. You can punish my hands, but you cannot punish me." The magistrate was also a very cunning person. He said, "Okay, which hand has committed crime?" And the man said, "My right hand." The magistrate said, "That's all right. Then your right hand is sent to jail for 10 years." The whole court laughed because if the hand goes to jail, how can the man remain behind? He will have to go to jail. But the court has to stop laughing in the middle because the man was laughing even more uproariously than the court. The magistrate said, "You're laughing? You are mad or something? The man said, No, I'm not mad. Removed his coat and gave his right hand, which was just an artificial hand. He said, You can send this hand to the jail 10 years or 100 years or as long as you want. It is possible if your parts artificial separate then, but your body is not artificial. All your parts are intrinsically necessary for you. Nothing is artificial in you. So if one thing remains behind, everything else remains behind. You can go and pretend that you have become a grown person, but you are not a grown person. And you can watch yourself and others. Let's scratch the person a little, and you will find the childishness becoming up. You may be a father or half a dozen children, and when you're fighting with your wife, you start throwing pillows. You may be a mother of half a dozen children, and then when you're fight, you go in a tantrum, very childish. That's it. Just one more reading. Zen Beautiful Stories. Just one more reading. Zen Beautiful Stories. The Zen master lives in an ordinary life, just as everybody else, but lives in a extraordinary way, with a totally new vision, with great exquisiteness, with tremendous sensitivity, with awareness, watchfulness, meditativeness, spontaneity. There is nothing as sacred in Zen, there is nothing as mundane. All is one, indivisible one. You cannot divide it as mundane and sacred. Hence, you will find Zen masters engaged in very mundane activities. No Hindu saint will be ready to do such things. He will call them worldly things. No Jain saint can conceive himself cutting wood or draining water from the well or carrying water from the river. Impossible. These are mundane activities. These are for the worldly people, but Zen masters make no distinctions. You can find the Zen masters chopping wood, cooking food, carrying water from the well, digging a hole in the garden, planting trees, all kinds of ordinary activities. But if you watch him, you will see the difference. The difference is tremendous, but it is not of quantity, it is of quality. He works with such awareness, with such silence, with such joy and celebration that he transforms the whole activity. The Jain, the Hindu, they escape from the world. The same master lives in the world and transforms it. There is a great message from the future of humanity. This is going to be the way of the future religiousness. The old idea of renouncing the world has totally failed. Entirely failed. It is basically wrong and impractical too. How many people can renounce the world? Only a very minor proportion because they have to depend on the Lord. The Jain monk may not do anything. That simply means other people are doing things for him. The Hindu saint may live in a cave far away in the Himalayas, but somebody carries food for him from the village. Clothes come to him and everything that he needs. If the whole world lives like monks and nuns, who is going to take care of these people? That will be a global suicide. They will starve and die. That is a very impractical idea of transforming the world into a religious kind of living. Zen is very pragmatic, practical. It is said that this is stupid, renouncing simply until an intelligent transform it. Be whatever you are, but be a new way. And what is that new way? Be non-competitive. To be competitive is to be worldly. Remember that the emphasis is not the question of living in the world or going to the mountains. To be competitive is to be worldly. You can go in the caves, but there are other saints living in other caves, and there will be competition. Then you have created another world. Then they will be talking who is achieving new cities, new powers, who can fast more, who can torture himself more, who can lie down on a bed of nails, who can live without clothes in the cold winter, who can sit in the burning hot sun with a fire all around him, who is the topmost saint. There will be a hierarchy. Once I was invited by Shankaracharya. There must be have some mistake. He was not aware of my way of thinking. He invited me. I was overjoyed. I said, this is a good opportunity, so I went there, and of course there was great trouble. The first trouble started when we are introduced to each other. Then Shankaracharya was sitting on a golden throne, and just by the side of him there was a smaller golden throne on which another Hindu monk was sitting, and there were other monks who were sitting on the floor. Shankaracharya told me that you must be wonder who is the man who is sitting by my side on the smaller throne. He has been Chief Justice of the High Court, but he is such a great spiritual man. He renounced it. He renounced the world, his high salary, his post, his power. He became my disciple, and he is so much humble that he never sits on the equal platform with me. I said, I can see that he's very humble. He's sitting on a smaller throne than you, but then others are sitting on the floor. If he is really humble, he should dig a hole on the floor, and he should sit there. If he's really humble, he is only humble towards you and about others, and very arrogant. And I could see the anger. Both the persons became very angry, and they were at a loss for a moment what to say, what not to say. I said, you see your humbleness? You both are angry, and this man is still sitting. If he is humble, he should get down. Dig a hole immediately, don't cling to the throne. And then there will be a competition, of course. Others will dig bigger holes. Then there is a well outside in the garden. He should jump into the well to be the most humble person. All these stupid ideas have been propounded for centuries, but new competitions arise. And I told the Shankaracharya that he's simply waiting when you shall die, and immediately he will jump on your chair, he will sit there, he was just waiting, he's already halfway. He's praying in his head that you also die soon, so that he can tell somebody else to sit on the smaller throne, and he will introduce him as a very humble person. Neither you are humble, nor he is humble. If he is humble by sitting on a small throne, then who you are? You are sitting on a higher throne than he. And if it's only a question of sitting higher and lower, then what about the spider on the ceiling? He's the highest, he's the greatest, because he's the higher than you. You cannot go higher than him. What about the birds who are flying in the sky? If there's the way, then you have not renounced anything. You are carrying the same old stupidity new names. Only the names have changed. The old dreams continue. The old desires, the old egos are still being strengthened. You can go to any monastery and you can see the same competition persists. Zen has a different approach. It says, being life. Life is not wrong. If something is wrong, it is wrong in your vision. Your eyes are clouded. Your mirror of consciousness is dusty. Clean it. Create more clarity. If competitiveness disappears, you are in the world, and yet you are not in the world. If ambition disappears, then there is not a word left. But how the ambition and the competition can disappear? We go on creating new ways. Somebody's trying to have more money than you, and somebody else is trying to be more virtuous than you. What is the difference? Somebody's trying to be more knowledgeable than you, somebody else is trying to have more character than you. It is the same desire, the same dream, and the same sleepiness. And people go on and on in their dream. Their dreams change, but they never wake up. Just one more reading Zen Beautiful Stories. One more reading Zen Beautiful Stories. Zen insists that unless your conscience goes through a radical transformation, nothing changes. You remain mechanical, your life will remain mechanical. One night, Stalin was walking in front of the Russian hotel in Moscow. Suddenly he hears a thud, looks down and sees at his feet the dead body of a young Russian. He looks up and sees a light coming from a room on the 10th floor. He runs up, bursts open the door, and sees an Englishman. Did you throw him out of the window? Asks Stalin. No, answers the Englishman. We took his room together. Before going to bed, I hung my jacket on the hanger, and it is the English habit. He put his on the chair, and it is the Russian habit. I put my trousers in the closet as the English habit. He put his under the mattress as the Russian habit. At the midnight, someone knocked furiously at the door. I went to open it. It is the English habit, and he jumped out of the window as the Russian habit. Habit is differs, and sometimes habits can prove dangerous, but people live through habits, not through consciousness. People live mechanically. And you can tell them to renounce the world, and they will renounce the world as mechanically as they were living in the world. And you can tell them to be naked, to renounce even clothes. They will renounce it as mechanically as they were every day putting their clothes on. The question is how mechanical this can be dropped. The question is far more deeper than our outer symptoms. The root has to be changed. On his return to Earth, an astronaut described Mars and its man and woman inhabitants. The Martian women have an amazing peculiarity. Their asses are at the front and their titties are at the back. He stated seriously. But that is horrible, exclaimed the reporter. To look at, yes, replied the astronaut, but this is wonderful for dancing. A guy was walking down the street very upset. He was so upset that he passed the friend who said hello to him. He did not even notice. So the friend turned to him, grabbed him by his thighs and said, "What is wrong, man? Did you not see me?" The first guy pushed the hand away from his thigh and said, "Don't pull my thigh again, don't pull it. I am so full of shit today that if you pull it again, I'm going to flush." These are the people. You can make them religious. They will go to the church full of shit. They will go to the temples. They can become Hindus, Mohammedans, Christians, whatever you want, a little more. They are carrying so much, they can carry a little more. In fact, when they are not having enough, they feel empty. Zen is a radical transformation of consciousness. It cleanses you totally, and its method of cleansing is unique. It has never been tried before. It's the greatest contribution to human consciousness. Chow Chow asked Nanchuan, what is the Tao? Just one more reading. Zen Beautiful Stories. Page 14. It is Tao, another aspect of Tao. Tao has multidimensional reality. Tao is the richest experience in the world. The person who knows Tao is the richest man in the world. He has the greatest inexhaustible treasure. Even Alexanders are beggars compared to him. Knowing all the aspects of Tao, one becoming Tao himself. Because you become acquainted with these aspects of Tao. Slowly, slowly, you become acquainted with yourself. Because the two is the inner dimension of Tao. The sunset is part of the outer dimension. The music is the part of the outer dimension. And witnessing the watchfulness, the experience of awe, beauty, wonder, joy, love, they are aspects of the inner dimension. Then there is only isness. Buddha used to call it suchness, tatata. Tatata exactly means Tao. You can call it isness. Isness will make it more clear to you because Tao seems to be an alien word. But don't translate it as God. It can be translated as God, but immediately you become a victim of many, many associations that have become part of the word God. God also means Tao, but in the hands of the priests and the missionaries and the theologians, the word has become corrupted. They have poisoned it. Friedrich Nietzsche says God is dead. He's not dead, he has been murdered. Murdered by the priests, by the theologians, by the politicians, murdered by the so-called saints, the so-called holy people. The word God is as beautiful as Tao, if it can be taken out of these ugly hands in which it has fallen. Tao never became part of any priesthood. No temple was made for Tao. No statue was carved. The followers, the lovers of Tao remain very alert. No prayer, no worship, no ritual. That's how they have saved its purity, its innocence, its beauty. It is still virgin. Chao Chou asked Nanchuan, what is Tao? Nanchuan asked, the ordinary mind is Tao. Don't try to be extraordinary in any way. And everybody does that. We are brought up in such a way. We have been told again and again by parents, teachers, everybody, that be the first, be special, be outstanding. I love my father for many reasons. One of the reasons was this, that he never told me or my brother and sister to be competitive. Never can remember him saying to us that you should come first, that you should make every effort to the top of the class. In fact, he was never certain in what class I am reading in the school. Whenever somebody will ask in what class your son is reading, he will ask me in what class you are reading. He never asked after examinations and the results whether you had passed or have failed, and as if that was not his concern at all. He had many beautiful qualities, but the quality I loved in him most, he was not poisoning our minds by becoming competitive. If my teachers will come to him and they will say, your son is not attending the schools, is mischievous, creates trouble, is never attentive, always goes on looking outside the window, is continuously punished, but never learns anything. Out of 7 days, at least 5 days, he's standing outside the class because he is being punished to stand outside. He enjoys it there. If we give him any punishment, we say to him, go and run around the school building for 7 times. He goes around 17 times. We look foolish shit. And if we say to him that this is a punishment, he says, for you it may be, but today I have not done any exercise, so it was good. Many thanks. Not a single day goes when he's not being sent to the principal. The principal has become so tired of him that he never asks what he has done. He simply punishes him and sends him back to that has become a routine, and he's bound to fail. My father will say, so what? So let him fail. Few students are bound to fail. The whole system is such all cannot pass. So somebody is bound to fail. So what if he is one of those who fail? And I don't know in what class he studies, so whether he fails or passes, I will never know him. He never looks at my certificates. Whenever I bring him, he will say, you just sign yourself, you can manage well, so I will sign it for him. When in university I topped the list, when I got the gold medal, he looked a little angry. He said, this is not good because to you it doesn't matter, I know you, but to somebody else the gold medal would have been something very valuable. I love him for these qualities. These are the qualities which should be given to his child. No competitiveness, no ambitiousness. When I came from the university back home, he never asked me, what you want to do now? The whole village was asking, now what are you going to do? Are you going to become a collector? Are you going to become a professor or this or that? Because you have topped the list, you can get any salary whatsoever you want. He asked anything about it. When I became a professor in university, he asked me, why bother going to the university? Why can't you be just a teacher in the primary school? It's just in front of us. When I left the university, everybody whoever knew me came to tell me, don't resign such a beautiful post and you have a great possibility. Sooner or later, you will be the vice chancellor of the university. You wait. He was the only person who was happy, who said, good, don't be worried. If you need some money or some trouble is there, you tell me, I'm still alive, I can support you. If you don't want to work, don't work. Or if you want to do some small thing, you can do some small thing. If you want to become a potter, become a potter. If you want to become a weaver, become a weaver. If you want to spin, I got a beautiful spinning wheel, I will give it to you. And if you don't want to do anything, don't be worried. Hey man, I'm still working while I'm alive, you don't need to worry. He was the only person, even my enemies told me that this is not right. You should take your resignation back. Even the education minister called me personally and asking me to take resignation back. You may have given some moment and you may repent later on. One day he saw my certificates. He said, "You have left the university, you have dropped the service. Why not burn the certificates?" He was the only who suggested me the idea, and I burned them immediately. I said, "That's perfectly good. We bring our children from the very beginning with it. Jealousy, envy. We make them fight, struggle. Our whole idea of life is based on survival of the fittest, and the fittest means the strongest, the most cunning. So whatsoever means, nobody care about the means. You have to achieve some end. You have to prove your medal. You have to show to the world that you are not an ordinary person. And the ordinary mind is tall. That's why the world is missing joy, bliss, benediction, because we are driving everybody crazy. Our whole educational system creates a kind of neurosis, and whosoever is ahead in the neurosis becomes very famous. Now people who become presidents and prime ministers, world famous people powerful, if you look in their lives, you will find nothing but neurosis. You will find nothing but anxiety, anguish, madness. They are boiling things somehow, managing face, not even face, it's just a mask. So that's it. Just one more reading. Views and Beautiful Stars, page 18. One more reading. Spiritual Evolution, a Scientific Defense of Faith. Page 66. Faith, as I shall use the term, involves basic trust that the world has meaning and that loving kindness exists. Such faith should be your human birthright. An atheist may have faith. The absence of faith is nihilism, not atheism, not disbelief in the lexical God. The Buddha spirit, if not in the latter, dethroned the Hindu gods. And yet no one would suggest that the Buddhists lack faith. A nihilist loves no one, and is loved by no one. That's it. Does not care for the truth or appreciate beauty. He has lost hope and knows no joy. Worst of all, nihilists find no meaning in life, as Eric Erickson noted. So, just one more reading. Spiritual Evolutions, a Scientific Defense of Faith, page 66. Faith, I shall use the term, involves basic trust that the world has meaning and like loving kindness exists. Such faith should be your human birthright. An atheist may have faith. The absence of faith is nihilism, not atheism, not disbelief in the lexical God. The Buddha spirit, if not in the latter, dethroned the Hindu gods, and yet no one would suggest that Buddhists lack faith. A nihilist loves no one, and is loved by no one, does not care for truth or appreciate beauty, has lost hope and knows no joy. Worst of all, nihilists find no meaning in life. As Eric Erickson noted, it is a terrible thing to be without basic trust in the universe. Christ wants us to feel, not to think, that we were loved. For the godless Buddhists, it's because the Dharma exists, because morality is an effect of nature, life has meaning. The Buddha taught as with her life, a mother cares for her only child, so in our hearts and minds let there be boundless love for our creatures great and small. That was faith that the Buddha spent 40 years in his life tracking the length and the breadth of India to share with all he met. In Hebrew and Latin, faith is not a singular state, but an active verb. We do faith, we do not have faith. When I have suggested to a friend that Sunday school was a place where one learned religious dogmas, she flatly contradicted me. No, George. For me, Sunday school was a love experience. He did not have faith. She did faith. Basic trust like God is not unknown. It's an experience. Faith can become manifest in three rather different ways. First, faith can be expressed through culturally determined symbols, beliefs, rituals, and common prayers that undergird a specific faith tradition. As such, faith, like language and culture, is one among many. Second, faith can be expressed through a trust and commitment to compassionate behavior and community building. This is the context in which passionate missionaries Christ and the Buddha did in faith. Finally, faith can be experienced through positive emotions, through a personal sense of inner illumination, awe, and a longing for the sacred. This was St. Paul's experience on the road to Damascus. Our faith tradition usually combines the beliefs given us by our religion with emotional depth and my faith in the universe given us by our spirituality and by those who have loved us. The term religion and belief are straightforward. However, the words for faith and spirituality, like the words for all emotion, resist lexical definition. The best definition of faith as positive emotion that we know comes from Albert Camus' Greek novel The Plague. A child has just died in agony from pneumonia plague. Father Panuluk and Dr. Rio are arguing over the meaning of meaningless of the tragedy. I understand, Father, said in a low voice, that a sort of thing is revolting because it passes our human understanding. But perhaps we should love what we cannot understand. Doctor straightened up slowly. He gazed at Pandalo, summoning into his gaze all the strength and fervor he could muster against the weariness. Then he shook his head. No, Father, I've a very different idea of love, and until my dying day I shall refuse to love. I scheme at things in which children are put to torture. A shade of disquietude crossed the priest's face. Oh, doctor, he said sadly, I've just realized what's meant by grace. The priest's parochial term grace may be translated to a general audience as trust, and so at this point there is nothing more either or than can do except to choose to lose or to retain Mariah's confidence in the universe. When children die and we are helpless, whose path will be more healing, the priest's faith or the doctor's outrage? I guess it all depends. I only offer the vignette to illustrate that faith is the foundation of trust in the universe. That's just a little reading in Spirit Evolution, a book about faith. Just one more reading. The Wisdom of Jesus, transforming heart and mind. Unveiling love. If my hunch is correct, you can see how it significantly rearranged the playing field. Our earthly existence then is not about good behavior and preparation for our final judgment. It's not a finishing school in which we learn what we need to learn, nor a sweatshop in which we work off our karmic debt. Right here and now, we are the processes of speaking into being the relation of God's most hidden and intimate name. That's a difficult assignment, particularly when success and failure must wind up being the complete opposites of what we would normally expect in life. But the most productive orientation for our time here is not to focus on how quickly we can get back to our spiritual homeland, but to give ourselves fully to the divine intimacy being ventured right here and now. We might reassure ourselves that in some conscious or deeply transconscious way, we have chosen to bear our part in what the mystical tradition calls the suffering of God, the coastlines that is always involved in the full manifestation of the divine love. We're doing it here and now through the marrow of our own human lives, consciously living it. And these space-time conditions, as fragile and as frustrating as they are precisely the conditions which allow it to happen. As the poet Dylan Thomas expressed it in beautiful lines with which the chapter began, time held me green and dying, though I sung in my chains like the sea. It is the reality of the chains that creates the beauty of the song. Meditator, as bridge. From the God's eye view of creation, the real oppression and challenge is not sin and evil. It is posed by the vast and unequal energetic frequencies between the realms. How can the sun touch a snowflake? How can the divine radiance meet and interpenetrate created life without incinerating it? This is the ultimate metaphysical quality to which Christianity proposes as its solution the mystery of the incarnation. This realization in turn opens up a whole new line of insight into John's statement, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son. The son is, in the wider metaphysical context, is no longer the one who bails us out or who rescues us from our fallen state, but the one who becomes our bridge between the realms. Recognize the normals difficult of our mission. Jesus comes to accompany us on it, advocating for our human finitude in a way that respects its integrity but doesn't allow us to get trapped in it. As in the traditional theological understanding, but with a very different flavor, he becomes our meditator. Standing at the confluence of two vastly different orders of being, he offers his own life as the sanctuary between them. Becoming our flame. As we have seen already, these great metaphysical paradoxes lend themselves more easily to poetry and metaphor than the theological scalpel. One of the most classic images Christian mystics have used to portray this cosmic meditation is actually variants from the Old Testament in the book of Exodus. The story is told of how Moses, while tending his father-in-law flock of sheep in the Midianite wilderness, suddenly comes upon a bush fully engulfed in flame and yet miraculously intact. The miracle is quickly revealed as an angel of God speaking to the flame, but the Christian desert hermits later inhabiting that same wilderness, the burning bush became a symbol of Jesus himself, all flame yet perfectly intact within his finite container. And there were those among the desert fellowship who yearned for that some incandescent ground. In one of the most famous of the desert parables, Abba Lot went to Abba Joseph and said to him, Abba, as far as I can say, I say my little as I fast a little, I pray and meditate, I live in peace, and as far as I can, I purify my thoughts. What else can I do? Then the old man stood up and stretched his hands towards heaven. His fingers became like 10 lamps of fire, and he said to him, if you will, you become a flame. Would it be possible for us to become our flame? Could our own lives become such a profusion of infinite love, infinite form that light would pour around our bridge and as an act of physical radiance? I have indeed seen this light in more than a few realized masters toward the end of their earthly journeys. It is the fully revealed mystery of human life lived as conscious sacrament. How we get there is the secret Jesus will unfold for us through the course of his own consciously sacramental life. But our first step in joining him on this journey is to recognize that his incarnation is not about foul, guilt, or blame, but about goodness, solidarity, and our own intimate participation in the mystery of love at the heart of all creation. That's it. Just one more reading of the wisdom of Jesus. Spiritual meditation, unified framework, the ultimate realization, right? Page 436. You are the creator of your reality. At the highest level, understanding one recognizes that you are not separate from the laws of the universe. You are an expression of them. You are not merely subject to these laws, you are a co-creator with them. By working in harmony with these principles, you shape your experience with precision and wisdom. Mastery of life is not about controlling external conditions, about aligning internally with the forces that govern reality. Final shift in perspective. Life's happening to me, life responding to me. I must fight for what I want. I align my thoughts and actions, and reality will flow. Everything is random. Everything follows cause and effect. I am separate from the universe. I am an integral part of the universal flow. Once this realization is deeply internalized, life is no longer a mystery. It becomes a creative masterpiece. Key realization: the universe is not outside of you. You are an inseparable part of it, shaping reality with every thought, intention, and action. Conclusion: becoming a master of life, mastering the 7 spiritual laws in the path to freedom, wisdom, and conscious creation. By understanding mentalism, you recognize that your thoughts shape reality. By mastering correspondence, you see that the unity of all things. By aligning with vibration, you elevate your energy and attract higher experiences. By working with polarity, you learn to transform any situation. By flowing with rhythm, you move effortlessly through life cycles. By applying cause and effect, you take control of your destiny. By balancing gender, you integrate the full power of creation. When one embodies these truths, life ceases to be a series of random events and becomes a purposeful and harmonious unfolding of creation. The final realization is simple. You are not separate from life, you are its architect. You are not powerless, you are the creator of your experience. Master these laws and you master yourself and you master reality. This is the path of the true wisdom, freedom, and spiritual awakening. That's it, the best book. Spiritual Meditations. Spiritual Meditations, Unified Framework. The path to mastery, awareness, application, and integration. To fully integrate these laws in one's life, 3 key steps must be taken. Awareness, recognize the laws in action. The first step is to observe how these principles manifest in daily life. One must become aware of thoughts, emotions, energy shifts, and external patterns. The more one notices the laws at work, the more naturally they become a guide for conscious living. Application, practice alignment with the laws. Awareness alone is not enough. One must actively apply the laws. This means training the mind to focus on desired outcomes, mentalism. Shifting perception to see unity in all things, correspondence. Raising vibrational energy through conscious thought and action, vibration. Using challenges as opportunities for transformation, polarity. Embracing cycles instead of resisting them, rhythm. Taking full responsibility for one's actions and results, cause and effect. Balancing action and reflection for greater harmony, gender. And 3. Integration, living in harmony with universal principles. Mastery is achieved when the laws are no longer something one practices, but something one embodies. This is not about rigid control, but effortless alignment, moving with the flow of existence rather than against it. At this stage, life simply itself becomes an expression of wisdom, harmony, and creativity. Key realization: mastery comes when the laws become second nature, when one no longer has to think about them, but simply lives in alignment with them. 3. Transcending struggle, moving from resistance to flow. One of the great benefits of mastering these laws is the ability to transcend struggle and suffering. Many people resist life because they don't understand its natural rhythms. They fight against cycles, blame external force, and believe they are victims of chance. However, once these laws are fully understood, life ceases to feel random or chaotic. Instead, it becomes a predictable and navigable system of cause and effect, movement, and balance. To shift from struggle to flow. Why is this happening to me? I created this experience through my past thoughts and actions. I feel stuck in negativity. I can shift my vibration and move to a higher state. Life feels chaotic and uncertain. Everything follows a rhythm. I trust the cycles. I have to control over my future. By understanding cause and effect, I shape my destiny. When these laws are applied, life becomes a dance, not a battle, a creative unfolding, not a struggle. Clear realization, resistance to universal law creates suffering. Alignment with them creates flow and ease. Just one more reading, the most important book, Spiritual Framework, Spiritual Meditations Unified Framework.